The first match there that we've seen, I don't know, it lacked energy. I didn't think that Cesaro and Shinsuke would win the match. I mean, there's really no hierarchy of wins and losses. It doesn't matter, basically. If you want a championship match, you got it for the tag title. I guess I could see, to build, continue a feud here. I could see why Shinsuke and I guess Cesaro won to kind of escalate it, to bring it back, to lead it into SummerSlam, because who else really is there as far as a tag team? But again, really didn't care for the match. It was kind of really slow for me. As far as the next up, we had the Bayley versus Nikki Cross match. It was a match to me that was just there. Really, it felt like a regular SmackDown match to me, honestly. I'd probably give it, 5.5 out of 10. It was a match that was just there. But, it kind of, I was right on the prediction. I think it kind of set up something where, Alexa Bliss could partially be blamed for what happened in that distraction and that interference. One might argue if Alexa Bliss didn't jump up on the apron, Nikki Cross could have said, listen, I would have had it, I would have handled it. Instead, the ref turned the back and I lost. I think that's where you're going to. You're going with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross during SummerSlam. Interesting to note, too, during that match, they said how long the reign of Bayley was. It was a crazy amount of days between her two reigns. Something like, over 400 and something days combined. And it's kind of remarkable if you think about it, because I didn't even realize it was that long. Remember, when Bayley was a face, people kind of quickly soured on her. Their rope wasn't the greatest with her. But even with that being said, where she was, you might consider stagnant as a face, she did hold that title for a considerable amount of time. I think she found her niche here as a heel, and she's annoying, which works. You had the matchup there. You had a vignette. Bray Wyatt kind of hyping up his swamp match. Goes to show you. Listen, he said a line there where this brought up something funny where he the scariest thing or the worst thing you ever seen in your life, and that was the karaoke from SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. Listen, everyone's quick to knock WWE, but I think even they know they're not that thick-headed where they think everything works. I think they're able to laugh at themselves as well. So, listen, I'm sure they know not everything that they do is the greatest. That's all. That's all I'm trying to make. That's all my point. There was a segment where we were supposed to have an Intercontinental title match. Supposed to be MVP versus Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, who we talked about, why has he been absent last couple of weeks. It's kind of weird what they did here. Obviously, there's something had happened. We could all speculate. We don't really know the reason what exactly happened. To me, it seems probably the WWE had expected that he be back quickly. Based how the storyline had developed, was developing past couple weeks on Raw. This kind of was a pointless segment. What they said there was that Bobby Lashley injured him a few weeks ago. He wasn't able to recover. But in the promos in the weeks leading up to this, that was never, at least unless I'm missing something, that was never the indication that he was hurt by Bobby Lashley. You know, that he was messed up by Bobby Lashley. That was never the direction that they were going. They decided to go that direction on the pay-per-view. You know, it doesn't make sense storyline-wise. You know, kind of, it just doesn't, you know, it's like you're backtracking now to kind of cover your bases based on what happened. You know, there was kind of something, you know, you could have, you know, had maybe, I think maybe Apollo Crews at least do a promo backstage, or tape a promo, you know, something like on his phone, and send that in, put that in part of the pay-per-view. Listen, MVP, Bobby Lashley, I'm gonna be back. You might have messed me up, but the fight is not over. Blah 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 blah. Something to that extent. Instead, it just, to me, didn't make sense that they were backtracking now all of a sudden, just to cover their bases. It just didn't seem right. I think if you wanted to tie it together for it to make sense, you could have had Apollo Crews do something on his cell phone, do something. Unless he's, you know, totally was not even able to do that. And, you know, they have Apollo Crews take the championship. They have MVP take the championship. He's proclaiming himself to be champion. And, you know, he kind of made a remark there earlier, like, listen, Bobby Lashley, you're costing me, you know, like my shot, like kind of like jokingly. But that's already, is it planting ripples? I mean, it just, I don't think it was a necessary line in there, because it really had it really serves no purpose, I don't think. It's just a weird line that he threw in there. So, could even make the argument that you could have possibly even brought out Cedric Alexander to kind of enhance the segment in some way, somehow. The Seth Rollins-Rey Mysterio match, now I had better hopes for it, higher hopes for it. An eye for an eye. I thought it would be a little bit more cinematic than what it was. Really, honestly, it was. I thought it would be. It was a little bit short. Thought it would be a little bit longer, and it just, I don't know, kind of fell flat for me. I thought there would be more. Felt more like a wrestling match, in the sense of that they were fighting a regular match as opposed to an eye for an eye, and it just really seemed to turn kind of in the last 5 minutes or so. Kind of fell flat. You know, probably would have given it a, you know, a 6 out of 10. But even if you take that into consideration, the ending, to me, was the same type of ending that you would have, that you have seen on Raw, same type of finish. It's weird. The fact that Rollins threw up at the end, vomited, is just a complete weirdness altogether, and I don't know really what direction are they going. An eye for an eye, really, I thought it would have had some cinematic effect to it. I just really didn't see the point of the match. We've already seen this match. We've already seen the ending. And, you know, we keep on. Just that ending of Rollins vomiting was really odd and bizarre. Is Rollins already disgusted with himself? Is he having a change of heart? What does this all mean? And I keep on bringing Dominic, that he would interfere in this matchup, somehow do something Still expecting to see Dominic do something, and we really don't. So I don't know really what all this means. They could have pulled the trigger and done something with Dominic already, after all this time, and it's still not there. So just really don't know where it's going from. It's a match that we've seen before. I'd probably give that match a 6 out of 10. Talk about screwy finishes and just clusterfuck WCW type booking finishes. That's what we had there with Sasha Banks and Asuka. See, this is really when there was a point when WWE had, GMs, and it was overblown, over exaggerated, just way too much. The GM would always be out there, always a backstage segment, just always constantly there, and it was that till nauseum. If you don't want to have a character that plays the GM, heck, maybe bring back the Raw general manager, the anonymous general manager, and not overdo it, not oversaturate it. Have it done. Okay, maybe that might stick this time around. It's so annoying that it'll probably stick. Just that whole screwy finish. So you have Asuka being just built up, the MVP of this COVID Raw, and people tuning in are under the assumption that she lost, that she got screwed, that she lost. People are thinking that her championship reign is over. And who did she really face? One opponent. That's it. Sasha Banks being second. And, the first one. So she defeated one opponent and lost to Sasha Banks. People are thinking, well, Asuka might be a joke now. Something like that. You should not be in suspense after you're trying to build up a character like Asuka during the Raw era, in COVID era. Didn't do her any justice. Now I know where they're going. I think they're trying to have the superpowers built, where Sasha and Bayley hold all the championship together. So maybe, how do I know? Maybe, in fact, Sasha is the champion now. Although it was a screwy type of finish, anonymous general manager, regular general manager would have been perfect to kind of save, especially save Asuka and set the record straight at the end there. Again, the match just felt like a regular match that you would see on Raw. Nothing too flashy. It's, a 5.5, 6 out of 10. Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. This match needed, to me, if you've seen the predictions, I really had no interest in this match. This match was what it needed to be, and that was a quick 1, 2, 3 out of here. Drew McIntyre beating Dolph Ziggler. To me, it wasn't believable where Dolph Ziggler could beat Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's title reign so far has been underwhelming. Really nothing to write home about. Again, I know we're in COVID wrestling era, but you can't really excuse creative all the time. There hasn't been any really compelling storyline thus far with Drew McIntyre during his title reign. Hopefully this leads us to, I think we're going Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Hopefully that's the next stop here on the destination. I don't think you'll be seeing any more of Dolph Ziggler competing for the heavyweight title. Last match, the Swamp fight. Yeah, Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. This, we've seen these type of matches before. WWE has tried to kind of rewrite history. These cinematic matches, you had the Boneyard match. You know, you had these type of matches before. You had the John Cena Bray Wyatt match. You had the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton match. These all type of cinematic matches, and obviously, you know, it's kind of mirrored after, you know, Final Deletion. Did we see Sister Abigail? No, we did not see Sister Abigail. I think, and this was part of Braun's hallucination, part of Braun Strowman's hallucinating. Remember, this was after, I believe, he was bit by the snake there. Really, it's and after all, Bray did say that he's dead, so maybe the introduction of the original Bray Wyatt maybe was a one-time thing. So it's, you know, of all the somatic matches that we had, this was to me probably the worst one, right? And I think the problem here is you're going to the well one too many times, where it's going to become quickly old. There was nothing really in that swamp fight which made it be like, wow, like all that stuff that they were doing, they could have done in the ring, and the actual fighting that they done was, well, not long. You know, you have the character of Bray Wyatt speaking, you know, to Braun, trying to reason with him almost as if, you know, they're supposed to be friends, not foes. You know, he does mention that, you know, he is dead. He's dead. Maybe this was all imagination. But I thought that the shed was destroyed when Randy Orton destroyed the shed. So stuff like that kind of doesn't you know, really click with me as to what, like, you know, storyline consistency. You know, and they're really, the actual fight between Bray and Braun was very short. It was mostly talking within that. Again, that's something that you could have done in the arena. You didn't need that. And it was nothing extraordinary, that confrontation. I just think, you know, WWE is going a little bit too much into the well with these cinematic stories, and you gotta be careful because they might get old real quick. I think what they did with Bray versus Braun wasn't necessary to make this a swamp fight. You know, the match was a short match, very short. It was mostly talking. I guess, you know, I understand to a point what they're doing. I think they're trying to, you know, listen, you had Bray, you know, the two faces of Bray. We haven't seen the Fiend yet. The two faces of Bray was trying to tell him, listen, Don't do this. Follow me. We've yet to see the Fiend. Maybe saying, listen, no, don't do this. The Fiend is going to get you. He's going to get you. Don't do it. Follow me. Trust me. And Braun does not want to do it. The ending, it's made to believe, like, is Braun gone? Did he join the dark side with Bray? Why did Bray become the Fiend? So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. Overall pay-per-view, it just felt like a regular Raw or SmackDown to me. Nothing really that stuck out. I'd probably, give it, a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10. I hope all is well.